Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. I'm here on Salt Spring Island during my weekend trip. I found the perfect spot here in nature to share a very exciting video with everybody that I'm going to be looking into through spirit communication. And what that is we're going to be looking more into the secret space program. Now, recently, I was talking about through my webcast on New Earth Insights, where I was giving a little bit more of a discourse pertaining to the secret space program, and how I do not personally feel that there is anybody who has actually come from that particular program back to Earth and shared the great perspective relating to the SSP. And I know that there are certain people who have claimed that they have been in the SSP, in the secret space program, and that they have come back and they are sharing this information. And again, I'm not looking to bury anybody. I'm not looking to ridicule anybody or anything of that nature. It's fine. It's their perspective. But nonetheless, I do not personally feel that anybody has come forward relating to what is actually happening pertaining to the secret space program. And so here I am right now. It's kind of the early afternoon on Salt Spring Island here. And earlier this morning, I was looking a little bit more deeper into the SSP. And I was getting some pretty profound information relating to the SSP. And all I can really do is share bits and pieces of information from what Spirit has shared with me. Because this is something that is meant to be kept in the dark for quite some time. In the times ahead, in the generations to come, we will probably have a lot more light shed upon the SSP, but there's a reason why it's been kept in secrecy. There's a reason why it's been kind of kept under this veil for a great deal of time. And again, some people will come forward and they will say, oh, well, the SSP is about this, and humans have left the solar system and we're exploring the galaxy. No, we're not. So this is again what I'm looking into today with the SSP. So where to begin? There's quite a lot of information. So we could basically look at the start of the secret space program that was occurring, I'd say around the 1940s to 1950s. Now the SSP and the branches pertaining to human creation, right, what we Earth humans have been able to create. Again, there are quite a few different organizations, right? One of them is Solar Warden. So I can confirm that Solar Warden is indeed a true organization. It's a true agency. And that a lot of its responsibility is working throughout the star system, right? There have been some people saying, oh, well, it only basically covers the outer solar system in that way. I said, no, it covers the entire star system. It's one of the biggest branches pertaining to defense, pertaining to surveying, pertaining to all of these basically kind of military-based operations in the star system. Now, we often get this impression that humanity is kind of leading the charge through outer space, that they have their organizations and they have their agencies, and they're basically able to do whatever they wish willy-nilly. No. Humanity has basically had a leash put over it when we're looking at the secret space program. Now, the secret space program is kind of like its own government, right? Here's our Earth governments right here, and here's the SSP and all of the accommodating governments relating to it. So it is not the idea of thinking that we are able to just jump in ships and we can just go and travel to different star systems, and we can just take over them, and we can just go to different planets and conquer them, in the kind of dictatorship fashion. It does not work that way, right? I would say if we're looking at the food chain, or in this way I'll call it the command chain, regarding the SSP, right? If this is like the highest command in regards to outer space, in regards to jurisdiction, humanity is right about here, right? We are kind of in the lower to mid tier of the secret space program. We cannot just go around flying around with spaceships, going to different star systems, going to different galaxies, and just thinking that we can do whatever we want. It does not work that way. So the SSP was created under an umbrella, and this umbrella involved other different races. When the SSP first started, for humanity to come into the fold, they were under some very, very heavy restrictions. And a lot of the beings that they were working with were more regressive, right? So you could look into the idea of reptilian energy, you could look into the idea of Orions, you can look into the idea of the Greys, right? You can look at many different beings and groups as well too, to where humanity was down here. So humanity really has had a very tight leash put upon it as far as the SSP goes. They don't just go and do whatever they want. They are ordered to do certain things, to carry certain tasks out. So at times they may work in helping to colonize a planet in that way. They may help in regards to setting up certain forms of technology. They may do surveying missions. They may again do certain forms of military training, or responding to military-based situations in the SSP, right? And I just refer to SSP just as a generalization of outer space affairs, okay? So again, humanity was very much caught under this umbrella regarding these other races, regressive races, that basically kept them at the bottom. In the idea of a caste system, right, you have the kind of overlords, the higher rulers, right? Then you have kind of royalty below them, right? Then you have kind of like the warrior castes. Then you have kind of like the laborers, the servants in that way. And you could say that humanity kind of went between the servants and the warriors. That's really where we were. And then there's, of course, ones who are not even involved with the SSP at all, who are planetary. So again, the SSP and its organizations and respective agencies do not really communicate with Earth-based governments. So they're not about communicating with the CIA or NSA or FBI or anything of that nature. They don't even involve themselves with that. There are people, of course, on Earth who have certain forms of clearance who may be aware of the SSP or Solar Warden in that particular way, but they've never really had any forms of personal contacts or personal meetings with them, because this, again, is something that is far beyond the Earth governments. It is far beyond the Earth systems. So like I said, it's been around, I'd say, since the 1940s or 1950s. I feel Solar Warden was something that came a little bit later, maybe around the 70s or the 80s in that way. But the good news is a lot of the personnel that have been involved within the organizations of the SSP have started to revolt. They have led resistances, and they're actually working together with other groups behind the scenes to overthrow, like I said, the kind of overlords or higher rulers in that way. And this has started, I would say, around the 2000s. And through around the 2000s, this is where the Galactic Confederation, where Dronos has talked about this in the past when I was channeling him, he was talking about, again, these armadas coming in, and they were working together with a lot of the human-based SSP groups to get them to turncoat, to switch sides. And so this is like a counterforce that's been happening through the SSP as well too. So they have come through, and they are overthrowing a lot of these old tyrants pertaining to the higher rulership. And so they've been doing a bang-up job, because most of those tyrants and higher rulers are almost out of the picture completely. There are still certain forms of cells pertaining to skirmishes that are taking place. There's a lot of fighting still taking place. There's a lot of defense still taking place. There's a lot of unearthing of different installations and bases, to which a lot of these regressive groups still have covered throughout the entire star system. So we're looking at bases on Mars. We're looking at bases on the moon, on our moon. We're looking at bases around the Maldek asteroid belt. We're looking at bases around the moons of Jupiter, the moons of Saturn, going out into the outer star system, it covers a lot of ground because these regressive beings have had many hundreds of thousands of years, I would say maybe even in the millions as well too, possibly, to really create an infrastructure here in the star system. So again, I would say for about the past decade or two, there has been again this working in a lot of the old personnel relating to these dark organizations or these dark groups within the SSP that have gone turncoat, and they're now starting to work on taking out a great deal of the regressive forces that have been here in the star system for a very, very long time, and it's succeeding very, very well. The edge really comes from the human guardians, right? From looking at ourselves from the future, and again, looking at that in a linear term. And so because we have a lot of beings that have come here from different dimensions, from our future timelines, as it were, they've offered a lot of assistance in being able to figure out a lot where these regressives are hiding and being able to take out a lot of their installations and basically attempting to boot them out of the star system. So they're either told to leave, and if they don't leave, they become rounded up. Well, this sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? It sounds very familiar based upon what we're going through right now here on the Earth with the counter forces that are working here together on the Earth. And so as above, so below. So again, what's taking place right now is a cleanup. Within the next couple of months, we'll probably see again a lot more of these skirmishes happening throughout the star system, where again a lot of these old regressives are in hiding. Their hideout spots are being detected, and they're being dismissed from the star system. There may also be again some detaining going on as well too, because just like what's happening here, there's beings that are turning turncoat as well too, that worked for many of these regressive groups throughout the SSP, or again I would say outside of the SSP altogether, right? Like I said, I just say secret space program because there's a lot of organizations, both human-based and non-human-based, that are contained within the SSP. So again, the important thing to take away from all of this is that humanity has not been able to just run around the star system, run around the galaxy, and just go to different planets and put in colonies on different worlds outside of this star system, right? They don't really have authority to do that. Humanity, as far as the SSP is concerned, has been under this leash. They've basically been told what they can and cannot do. They've also had a lot of restrictions regarding to what they are able to do. They are really only being given a handful of technology to use that they can back engineer, and they can develop these spacecraft, and they can patrol the star system. From what I was getting from Spirit, a lot of these spacecraft are on the moon, or actually inside the moon as well too. You can actually pass right through the moon and go into like these internal shipyards. So the shipyards, quite commonly, for the human SSP, can be found on the moon, right? The moon is very, very much a common ground for that, right? One particular insider talks about the Lunar Operations Command, right? And that's not quite accurate. There are certain infrastructures taking place upon the moon, but it's not thinking that it's under human rule in that way, at least not with our current understanding of how we are as humans. It's under human guardian jurisdiction, but those are humans of a different type, right? They're us, but they have a different signature to them, I'll say. So again, it's not so much in the feeling that a lot of people just think, human beings rule this and human beings rule that. They don't rule anything. They don't really rule anything in the star system. They haven't really ruled anything on Earth. They've always been told what to do. They're always answering to someone much higher up on the food chain, much higher up on the command chain, I'll say. So humans really haven't had the jurisdiction of anything. And that includes this being here on Earth, right? We think that a lot of these banks and these bloodline families in that sense have been the big top dogs here. They haven't. They're at basically the mid-level of the pyramid. Okay, there's a higher orchestration going on here. Humans have never really been given power to do really anything. And a lot of these regressive groups basically just saw humans as slaves, right? Saying, we'll give you your time in the sun, we'll give you certain forms of technology, you got to sell out your people, and then we'll give you these breadcrumbs. And then they get excited, oh, sure, of course. So even though they think that they're all high and mighty, they really have no authority. And it's the same thing in regards to the counterforces, right? Counterforces are still much more on a higher command chain than humanity, because humanity is too immature. They're too immature to start running things, to feel like they have complete say-so over what's happening in the star system. That's giving that idea to a child. And so no. So they're going through different changes here. It's going to have a little bit more leeway relating to them being much more part of the counterforce SSP, because there will be a lot more leeway, but humanity still needs to be mentored. We're such a young race, and we have to be mentored. We can't just go gallivanting off throughout the star system thinking we can do whatever we want, trying to create commerce out of all these things. The Maldek asteroid belt is kind of like a galactic Fort Knox. There's so much material, there's so much resources there. Humanity also had its finger in the pie relating to a lot of those resources pertaining to the SSP, right? So there's a lot of bases contained in the asteroid belt as well too. The asteroid belt again has been that galactic Fort Knox, and if humanity had its way, that's basically what it would do. It would just try and get as much of the resources out of the asteroid belt and start utilizing that as a form of currency to try and really expand their empire. And that was part of it when they were more in the regressive SSP. So I'm kind of looking at something like the regressive SSP and the counterforce SSP. So there is trade going on as well too, right? So there's commerce trade coming in. And of course, one of the most unpleasant things and hideous things has been galactic slave trade. Okay, that has been abundant throughout this star system for many thousands of years. This is going back to where humanity was very much more indigenous. Certain ships would come down and they would apprehend children, right? And they would take them into these kind of slave trades, right? There is galactic human trafficking. That has happened for a very, very long time as well, too. Or Brad, is that coming to an end? It's in a process of happening. Like I said, guys, whenever we look at what's happening here on Earth, we're seeing that reflection happening through the SSP, happening through the galaxy. As above, so below. So yes, as that is being taken down here on the Earth, bit by bit, then on an intergalactic level, that is being taken down, at least as far as our own solar system jurisdiction goes. Right? So like I said, I've talked about in the past about the human guardians. They're really the ones that are kind of more closer to the top tier, helping out behind the scenes and doing a lot of this behind the scenes work. And again, certain liaisons will come upon the Earth and they will start meeting up with the ground crew here and giving them information about where things are going and what they can do, and creating these action plans to foil a lot of what's happening with the regressive groups or the dark players altogether. So that too, in turn, is happening on a much more solar system galactic base level here. So as I've said, that the SSP does have its own ships, right? There are organizations, there are agencies. When you look at Solar Warden, they have some very advanced spacecraft. Because like I said, they're being given a handful of technology and saying, here you go, you can use this and you can back engineer it, and now you can have your own vessels that you can work with to therefore fulfill your tasks to what you're being assigned to. So there's still a lot more that needs to be shared regarding the SSP. I'm just trying to, because I was getting downloads earlier today, and I'm just making sure I cover all the bases in regards to what I was receiving through downloads altogether. So I could basically say that pretty much every planet and mostly every moon in our star system has us as human presence there, right? If we don't have installations, we are certainly aware of certain degrees of what's there. So there are certain monitoring outposts that we have, and like I said, just humanity is not able to leave the solar system because we are under a quarantine, and it is uncertain about how long this quarantine will last. We don't know. Humanity really needs to show how much it's maturing, It's the more that we are able to see what has been under our feet on a planetary level and on a solar system level, and we are able to make the right choices and say, this is the essence of misery. I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. And we decide to go in another direction. That is much more encouraging for us to basically go beyond our star system. But not only is the SSP being mentored in that way, because a lot of these counter forces are actually working together with humanity in a much more respectable manner, not treating them like they're just fodder or slaves. They're treating them like people, right? But again, looking at the SSP, looking in regards to how space itself functions, we still haven't got that right either. It's very, very different. It's like looking at a cosmic ocean. It's like looking at different pockets. It's like you're just inside a honeycomb, right? I've talked about a honeycomb Earth. Adronis called it a clustered Earth when I was channeling him in the past. It's not hollow. It's not flat, right? It is a clustered Earth. It's like a soccer ball. Okay? It's ovular. Earth has a belly to her. So it's kind of like looking at a soccer ball with the hexagonal geometry. So kind of like looking at a honeycomb with all of these cells. And that is the natural geometry of the Earth. I know people may have their own ideas and say, no, Brad, it's flat. It's a flat Earth. Or, no, it's not about hexagonal. It's this shape or that. Well, I can only share what I've been given, guys. And also when I've gone into deeper states and seeing the Earth for how she is, there's nothing about her being flat. There's nothing about her being hollow. Okay, it is a clustered Earth. It is a honeycomb Earth. And so there are vaults contained inside the Earth, and every planet is pretty much like that geometry throughout our entire star system. Right? We're looking at Mars, we're looking at Venus, we're looking at Mercury, we're looking at Jupiter, we're looking at the outer planets, we're looking at the moons. They all have that same geometry. It's all honeycomb. It's all clustered. Okay? So I've been saying that for years with people. But I think this is all I can really share right now because I think I've covered all the bases. I will be doing some follow-up videos on more SSP videos to come. But I'm kind of giving you guys just the overview and the introduction to this. And as more information comes my way, which I don't know when that comes, Spirit is like the wind, comes and goes with this information, then I'll be definitely putting some more follow-up videos about the SSP. Okay? Thank you very much for checking out the New Earth Teachings YouTube channel. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you can check out the websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can order a private session, 3 questions by email, EQ method, and a lot more. And you can also check out healingcodecards.com, where you can grab your mind deck, your body deck, and of course the brand new Body Deck Special Edition. All of these are available in digital editions as well. And you can also get a shirt just like this through healingcodeshop.com, where you can experience the healing codes in apparel form. So feel free to check out these websites. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Be well.